Hi, I'm the Whatsoever Critic, and I review just about anything. And today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 facts about the bad apple from LarryBoy and the Bad Apple. Now, I wanted to give y'all this top 10 list because I'm kind of sort of doing a little presentation on it for class, so I thought it would be a good idea to give y'all a top 10 list. Now, before we start, I just want to say that this top 10 list may contain some spoilers. Other than that, let's get started. Up at number 10 is that the bad apple has a secret lair, which is, of all places, a cabin in the woods. Now, we only see the outside of her lair just once, but most of the time whenever she's there, she's inside her lair. In her lair, she has a few TV sets of which she watches her potential victims on camera. And that's how she knows of who to target and all that. Number 9. She has a little henchman called Curly. This character was voiced by Tim Hodge, who is also the director of this movie. The funny thing about this character is that he's a worm. And worms are usually what you find like whenever you pick apples from a tree. That kind of symbolism may have been like a cliche, but at least it's like the funniest thing coming from the scariest villain of the LarryBoy franchise, right? Anyway, Curly is the one that helps her spy on people because you can see him install cameras in one scene, and then he's giving her information about these people in another scene. Now, in my opinion, that's conspiracy because he's helping her to fulfill her purpose, which is temptation. Now, speaking of voice acting, that leads me to fact number 8, which is that the bad apple was voiced by Cynthia West. Much like Tim Gregory as the voice of the Fib, not much is known about Cynthia West. When I researched her on Google, I learned that she did some voice acting for a video game called Nibiru, Messenger of the Gods, which is a PC game. Other than that, I don't think she's done any more voice acting other than provide the voice of the Bad Apple for LarryBoy and the Bad Apple. Number 7. The Bad Apple has spider legs, which makes her look very intimidating, and that's one of the reasons why I listed her as the scariest villain in the LarryBoy franchise. Now, we don't see her spider legs in her first few scenes. However, when we get to the Larry Cave scene where she's tempting LarryBoy with chocolate, she undoes her cape and she reveals her spider legs. Originally, the animators didn't want to make her legs too pointy because they thought it would scare some kids. But regardless, I think she's still the scariest villain in the franchise. Now up at fact number 6 is that she goes by strategy. And she expresses that when she says, quote unquote, that she's temptation and that she simply divides and conquers. And notice how she first takes down people of power like the mayor, a news reporter, and our superhero. Because without people of power to try and stop her, she can just go to the rest of the citizens and enslave them with temptation. Now that plan could have worked, that is, until LarryBoy stepped in and saved the day. Now up at fact number 5 is that the Bad Apple also has family ties. There's a scene where Alfred is in a library watching a video about how Bumbleyburg was founded. And yeah, you could say that this is the Thanksgiving story all over again because of the people dressed up in pilgrim attire, but I digress. Anyway, during the early settlement of Bumbleyburg, it's said that the Bad Apple's great-uncle Ephraim was the one who originally plotted to enslave the town with temptation, but he was stopped by a settlement leader, who is apparently Larry the Cucumber dressed up as a pilgrim. Let's be honest here. So Ephraim was caught in his evil doing and was forced to leave the settlement. However, it wouldn't be until generations later that the Bad Apple would arrive in Bumbleyburg and try to do the same thing as her great uncle, and that is to enslave Bumbleyburg with temptation. Now, fact number 4 is that the bad apple may have been inspired by that Adam and Eve story that you would hear whenever you go to church or read the Bible. Now, for those of you who don't know the Adam and Eve story, I'll give you a run through. According to the book of Genesis, Adam and Eve were the ones responsible for the original sin. And this was during the time when God was creating human beings for the first time. In fact, Adam and Eve were said to be the first 2 people to walk the earth. But sooner or later, Adam and Eve would get into trouble because Eve would listen to a serpent who told her to eat from the tree of knowledge. And that was really bad because God made them promise to not eat from the tree of knowledge. However, Eve was led into temptation and she ended up sharing this fruit with Adam, which caused them to get into a lot of trouble with God. Now, most people think that the fruit from the tree of knowledge was actually the apple because when you think about it like this, the Latin term for apple is malum, which is M-A-L-U-M, which is also another word for evil. Anyways, that was my little history lesson for you guys. And that was really interesting that that kind of reference would be in something like VeggieTales. Now for fact number 3 is that the bad apple may have some suggestive qualities. Now I've talked about this in some of my previous videos, is that the bad apple can be a seductress, and she has every right to because she's supposed to be resembling temptation. I mean, just look at how close she is to LarryBoy in that one scene. And this leads me to fact number 2, where she has a way with words. Let's be honest here. She really does have a way with words. I mean, she seems very intelligent. She knows how to convince people, and, may I say, she can really sing. However, what's really weird about her intellect is that she can spew out whatever facts she had about chocolate during that one scene where she's tempting LarryBoy to eat chocolate. It's like, where is she getting all this information about chocolate? The Mayans? And the fact that white chocolate doesn't have caffeine? It's like, wow, how does she know all this? And plus, what was with her crazy chanting during that scene where LarryBoy is just going crazy eating all that chocolate? Either way, she definitely knows how to get people to give in to their temptations. Now, I just want to say that fact number 1 is probably going to be a spoiler for some of y'all. So, are y'all ready? Okay, then let's jump right in. Now, yes, the bad apple really does appear in the last scene of LarryBoy and the Bad Apple. In that scene, you'll see a spider leg slowly turning off the TV just as soon as LarryBoy rides off, having saved the day. Now, after watching that scene, I kind of had this feeling that the Bad Apple's story isn't over. In fact, I was hoping that she would come back for vengeance sometime or another. Well, that is until VeggieTales in the House came around, of which I highly doubt that the Bad Apple would be brought back to us anytime soon. So are we to assume that LarryBoy and the Bad Apple is the only appearance of the Bad Apple? Or is there something more that we don't know? Well, I think that Big Idea should bring back the Bad Apple because she is by far the most badass villain in the LarryBoy franchise. And like I said before, I feel that the Bad Apple story is far from over. Hey guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you liked this video, be sure to click that like button and subscribe. Now for those of you who follow me on Twitter, I've announced that I will be doing a 3-part video. That should be done sometime in the future. And yes, that 3-part video is going to be LarryBoy related. See, you like my shirt? So be sure to look out for that 3-part video about LarryBoy. And on that note, thank you so much for watching. Just click that like button and subscribe. And as always, this is What's Ever Critic, signing out.